At a little over a year ago, March of 2020, that month started out usual for a high school student like me. My classwork was heavy, and my extracurricular activities were keeping my afternoons and Saturdays busy. At Grove, we began rehearsing tour music, and I was attending choir rehearsals and gym each Sunday. That Thursday was one of my favorite events, community dinner. Looking back, we had no idea what was about to happen. The next morning, while at school, I heard talk of this virus that infected a student at a neighboring school. It was said it was so contagious that they had to close the entire building and deep clean it. Suddenly, the what-ifs and suggestions that our own school be closed was heard throughout the halls. This was Friday, March 13th, 2020. Official notice came that schools are going to close for what I believe they said 2 weeks. Then, news broke that the state was ordered to shut down. I was so confused and somewhat shocked. My world was changed, fear entered, and my everyday routine came to an abrupt stop. I suddenly felt disconnected. The words "stay calm," "stay safe," "stay home" were a daily reminder of our new normal. How long will this last was my question. Uncertainty was coming at me at a high speed, and I was on a roller coaster of emotions. At home, questions on work schedules and who will get the grocery, and do we have enough toilet paper were discussed. Schools were making plans to move to remote teaching. They would be using this thing called Zoom, a virtual meeting place. Honestly, the idea of wearing pajamas all day seemed enticing and was one of my first thoughts. Next, talk in my house on how to keep our youth connected without being together in person was happening. Calls, texts, emails were made, and I reached out to a few friends myself. We planned to Zoom youth group meetings. At first, thinking this was all temporary, it seemed doable. Soon, though, I found it difficult to communicate with my friends without seeing them, and found out that I wasn't the only teen feeling this way. The virtual youth group members were low, and I was conflicted in trying to be a role model and leader in gym, but not wanting to attend yet another rehearsal over Zoom. School online was not good. Teachers were understandably overwhelmed, and it was difficult to pay attention during the material that was being presented. The news reported deaths from COVID-19 at an alarming rate. There was overwhelming sadness and little comfort at times. The spiritual part of me was also struggling. I depended on Sundays at church to give me time and thought with God. Yes, I said the occasional prayers through the week, but feeling truly connected happened inside church every Sunday. When streaming services were available, I found reasons not to watch. Another disconnect. I began to realize that I was going to have to give more effort to make room for God in my life. I remembered God's presence wasn't only in church, but also through the words of Scripture and religious songs. I listened to Christian music more and opened up an old daily devotions book. I found time to pray. I found comfort in my belief that through everything, God was and continues to be with me always. My feelings were all over the place, but God was constant, right there when I needed to talk to him. I allowed myself to sit quietly and grieve the loss of my normal life. I prayed about how I took what used to be normal for granted. I was now thankful for my life pre-COVID, when my faith wasn't tested daily. As discouraging news came each week, I looked for and prayed for a sign of hope. I was connecting to my spiritual part again. I am not going to lie. It took a lot of work to hold on to that connection. Some days it was there, and some days it wasn't. Through songs like Truth Be Told by Matthew West, I accepted that not being in control of my emotions was okay. He brought the light that feeling alone and disconnected was common. And I don't have to lie and pretend that I have it all together in my connections. Truth be told, keeping the faith that normal was ever going to happen again was extremely difficult. I tried to keep in mind that this was temporary. I was reminded in the scripture verses in Isaiah that everyone can become weak and weary. However, our tiredness and weakness is cured by the Lord through his awesome strength. Hope leads us through adversity. Just as Isaiah proclaimed to the Israelites, hope in the Lord restores the power we need to make it through these difficult times. As months went by, signs of hope came. First was the opportunity of an outdoor church service. Now, this was something I could get into. The helping person in me wasn't getting many opportunities to volunteer, so I jumped at a chance to assist in Rooted Outdoors. It was a chance to be connected in person again. I was grateful for the time to listen to the devotions and especially the messages in the music. Next, and soon after, the youth choir was approved to meet again in the building. We don't have the full choir, and wearing masks while singing isn't great, but it's worth it. Suddenly, I looked forward to Sundays with excitement. Youth group also started, and I look forward to playing games and talking each week. Those that attend would probably agree. Being together in person is a connection we need very much. I look forward to attending church again, but I know there are other ways to stay attached to God. As each week passes, I have moved from feeling completely discouraged to feeling hope. Hope that our lives will go back to some sort of normalcy soon. This year has taught me the importance of not only human relationships with others, but how important keeping a connection with God is to me. I started to drift away. I had to find new ways to connect when faced with a disruption in my routine. I do believe that as I go to college in the fall and cannot be physically in church each week, I will have these lessons learned last year to guide me. I find myself needing to find prey and move spiritually through music and moments when life throws me a curveball. I will trust God's love is in me at all times, and he gives me strength when I am weak. It is okay to have a pause in spiritual connection as long as I remember the important thing is to press play again.